Okay, this is attempt 3. Um, First time I accidentally hit stop instead of pause. The second time, my nephew came to put up a fan in my bedroom. So I have a fan in the living room, fan in my bedroom, and the air conditioning in the kitchen. So that's good. Maybe I won't burn up as much, especially of a night. But that's not really the point of this video, the audio I'm doing right now. Would you like to start out where you are now and in 18 weeks be exercising 90 minutes a day, or in 12 weeks be doing 60 minutes a day? Less if you're already exercising. It will take even less weeks. And I've done this before in my life, before my back got injured. So this ain't somebody just talk out their hind end. What you do, and this is somebody that never has exercised in their life, but if you're starting out at 15 minutes, it's the same idea. But you start out 5 minutes, or wherever you're at right now. So if you already exercise 15 minutes a day, you start at 20 minutes. In week 2, you add 5 minutes. So if you were doing 5 minutes last week, you do 10 minutes. And if you were, like I said, doing 15 minutes, so you started with 20 minutes, you would go up to 25 minutes. But if you ever struggle with the week, you repeat that the week before that. So if you're at 85 minutes and you try the 90 minutes, but you can't quite reach it at week 17, you go back to week 17 and do 85 minutes. But what you do is a little bit different this time. You add, if you do this 5 days a week, you add 1 minute. So day 1, you do 86 minutes. Day 2, 87 minutes. Day 3, 88 minutes. Day 4, 89. Day 5, 90. Or if you're doing it 7 days a week, add 30 to 45 seconds. So that you're doing maybe 85 and a half minutes, or 85 minutes and 45 seconds. And you do that, and it doesn't matter if you don't quite make it to the 90 minutes. Although if you're doing 45 seconds, you will. In fact, you'll be a little over 90 minutes if you did it exactly. But you'll be close enough to where that 90 minutes ain't hard enough. Or you can do like I had always done. And I did 5 to 7 days a week. I always planned rest days in case my back or knee or something went out. And if it does, if what you do is you add 30 to 45 seconds to a minute, depending on how often you do it, and you add that every day until week 2, you're at 9.5 minutes already. So it's no problem to go to 10 minutes. And you don't have to do 90 minutes. You can say that 60 minutes, I'm great because I didn't really need to lose weight anyway. My triglycerides are lowered, or my cholesterol is lowered, or my gout's not bothering me as much anymore, or whatever your issue or issues are. But if you need to lose weight, or if your diabetes is still out of control, aim to get up to 90 minutes. And possibly even 120 minutes. That'd be 24 weeks. That's 6 months. If you're a couch potato, you went from 0 minutes to 120 minutes. something to consider. Because I used to, and I have to split them up into, I can't do it all at one time because of my COPD. So I took 3 or 4 walks a day. But it got to where they were all 20 to 30 minutes long. And I didn't start out doing 3 or 4 a day. You see what I mean? You get me? I did 5 minutes one time. But once I got up to 15 or 20 minutes, I did a second walk, and I started out 5 to 10 minutes. But total, I was doing 120 minutes or more. And this isn't just walking. This, you can do a bike, you can jog. I would recommend one day a week of cross training though. So you walk most days. Do a day or 2 a week of biking, including a stationary exercise bike, or jogging, or something like that. Interval training, something. Interval is where you walk for a few minutes and then you jog or run for a minute, and then you walk for 4 more minutes or 5 minutes, and then you jog for a minute or 30 seconds or however long. But I'm going to start doing 2 walks a day is my goal. One of the morning and one of late evening, like before it gets dark. And I'm going to start out 5 minutes, because I can easily do 5 minutes now. But I'm going to do it twice a day, so that would count as 10 minutes for me. So I could do the next week 7.5 minutes in 2 walks. And in the winter I'll be able to split it up into 3. And the winter would be good because that's when I'll be getting into the high minutes every day, you know. So it would be easier personally for me to do 3 30-minute sessions than 2 45-minute sessions. And you can make this work for you. Because I know people say everybody has the same 45 minutes. Well, I'm disabled, so I don't work a job. So I have more free time. Yeah, technically we all have the same 24 hours. But if you're a single mom with 2 kids and you're working 80 hours a week, you don't have a lot of free time. So maybe you exercise more intensely for less minutes. Or maybe you take a break and exercise. You say you have an hour for lunch, and I know I'm assuming you may only have 30 minutes, so this might not work for you. But if you have an hour for lunch, spend the first 15 minutes eating. Because I always talk about, especially if you're diabetic or anything like that, you need to exercise after you eat. So I would recommend eating first. Mostly because you don't know how long it's going to take for you to eat. And if it takes 20 minutes, you'll still get in a good 30 to 40 minute walk. And just, even if you just take a leisurely walk because you don't want to sweat or something, at least you're moving. The body was made to move. You don't have to move 24/7. Or another thing you can do, and I used to do this too, get up every 30 minutes to an hour and do 1 or 2 or even 5 minute exercise. And if you have a Fitbit, the way I do, you can set it up to have at least 14 of those hourly activities, which is where you do 250 steps within that hour. And if you don't reach that by 10 till, so like 250, 350, so forth, you can set it up at least 14, as many as 14 of those. I think you have to set up at least 5 if you choose to use that feature. And you just walk. And it takes about a 5-minute walk to get the 250 steps for the average person. And that's the same when you haven't walked any in that hour. But do whatever you can, and you will see results. I saw huge results. And even when I quit losing weight, I still my blood work was getting better and better, and I was still very overweight, but my cholesterol was the lowest it had ever been before my back went out. And I'm still on the same medication I was on, and it's still in the normal range. They've never taken me off. They can't, because it's hereditary. And I know this because it's hereditary for several members of my family on both sides. Plus, as a complication in PCOS, I have metabolic syndrome, which means that I will be on certain medications the rest of my life. And if it ever turns out that they can take me off of it, great, because in 2017, when I almost died, there were medications that they thought I would be on the rest of my life. And cut to a few years later, and I'm not on a lot of those. And in fact, some of those I was off of within a few months. So, that just goes to show, even if you've not taken care of yourself as well as you should, you could start in your day. Start today, or start in the morning if it's late at night. And if you're walking 0 minutes a day, walk 5 minutes. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I guarantee you, if you're like most people, you couldn't go from 0 minutes to 120 minutes. I had a doctor a long time ago tell me that it didn't matter how slow I walked, but to walk continuously without taking a break for 120 minutes. That's 2 hours a day, every day. Guess what? That was so out of my way of thinking. And I was a janitor at the time, so I figured 4 days a week I was doing that already, easily. Because I would work 2 or 3 hours a day before I even took a 10, 15-minute break. Because I got a lunch hour, and they paid me for that lunch hour, so I took about 15, 20 minutes to eat, and I took a couple of 10-minute breaks. Other than that, I was always walking, like I was gathering the trash from everywhere, and stuff like that. So at least 2 hours a day I was in constant movement, and that's not counting when I stopped to clean toilets or something. You know what I'm saying? But 3 days a week, if he had said do 5 minutes a day on the other 3 days a week. That would have been no problem. Plus, he didn't count when I was a janitor. He told me that to do it before I went to work or after I got home. Well, I was gone for 12 hours because it took so long to get to work and so long to get back home, in addition to the time I was working at work. So it was 12-hour days. I ate when I got home and went to sleep to do it again the next day. But if he'd said, we're going to count that janitor job, especially since I was losing weight and my blood work was improving, if he'd said Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, walk 5 minutes a day for 2 weeks, because I had no confidence back then. 3rd week, add 5 minutes. 4th week, add another 5 minutes. 5th week, you're at 20 minutes every day that you're not working. I would have been walking 2 or 3 hours a day on my days off. But it was discouraging, because I would even try it and I couldn't. I physically could not do it for whatever reason. Maybe it's because when I was working, I knew I was on the clock and I knew I had to do all of the trash back, and then I had to sweep and mop, and they had a list, and there was a specific time to do everything on that list, a specific order to do everything in, and you had to do, and not just when it made sense, like sweep and mop. But it was fun. I actually liked that it was that organized. But my point is, most people don't start out doing something 2, 3, 5 hours a day. Especially something like exercise. But if we start out 5 or 10 minutes a day and add a few minutes every week, and before you know it, you're exercising a lot and your health is improving over it. You see what I'm saying? And also, please don't do this if you're, I think it's called anorexia athletica. It's an exercise, exercise anorexia. For every calorie you eat, you have to burn. Please don't do that. My sister had it. That's how I know about it. So please don't do that. I used to binge eat. I keep certain foods out of my house. I have friends that are anorexic. So please don't do this. If you have an eating disorder, please talk to your treatment team, because there is life after an eating disorder. But remember, you don't want a different one or a new one or to relapse, because there are people that used to binge eat that if they hadn't started 150 pounds overweight, they would be considered anorexic. They have all the behaviors. They've lost a ton of weight, usually while being congratulated for it, by the way. Sometimes even after they tell how little they eat and how much they exercise. But it's not healthy to eat 1,200 calories a day and exercise 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, or something like that. Well, you see what I'm saying? So, please don't do something that will hurt yourself. And I'm sorry I was starving. I'm trying to think of the last time I ate today. I think I had a couple of sandwiches a few hours ago. And that's pretty much been it. Just had a very busy day between batch recording and we went to Family Dollar and a local grocery store chain and the library and stuff like that. And my nephew came over and put in the fan just now, but I made a few videos in between. No, it wasn't sandwiches I had, it was beef and cheese jerky. It was yesterday that I had sandwiches. Because I was wondering what I was going to eat. And I'm sorry, I know you can hear that, but when I eat too much at one time, or if I eat certain foods like spicy foods, which was the case here, or dairy foods, my COPD acts up. In fact, that's one of the ways that they figured out I had COPD was if I ate eggs or milk, or drank milk, or ate cheese or things like that, I would have this issue. Or I would start coughing a lot. And that's one of the signs of COPD, among other things. And I had the other symptoms. But it can take a long time, especially if you don't smoke and you don't hang around a lot of smokers and stuff. But I had other risk factors. But they eventually figured out my issue. And that's why I can't do 90 minutes of exercise at one time. But I can do 30 minutes 3 times a day. Or I can do 45 minutes twice a day. And actually it's good for my lungs to do it. So, starting tomorrow morning, I'm going to exercise 5 minutes a day. And I'm going to do a report today's Friday. So every Friday, because that would be the last day of that particular week, because Saturday would be day 1, so Friday would be day 7. I'm going to say it, I'm going to make a audio, yeah, but I'm going to release it like I normally do, schedule it a while in advance. But I'm going to say how many days a week that week I walked, and for how many minutes each walk, and how many total for the week. And my goal is to get better every week, if not every day. I prefer every day. I've always been the type that if I walked 5 minutes today, I won't walk 6 minutes tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And to start out, especially with my back, it may take me 2 or 3 times walking a minute to 2 minutes, but as long as I get 5 minutes total, I'm going to be happy. And if the first day 5 minutes doesn't tire me out, I'm going to do 7 minutes, because I don't want to jump straight to 10. And then I'm going to do 10 minutes, if that doesn't tire me out. And then I'm going to do 12. If that don't tire me out, I'm going to do 15. But if at any point it tires me out, I'm going to go back a week, so that if 10 minutes I was okay with, but 15 minutes is a struggle, I'm going to go back to 10 minutes, and I'm going to walk an extra minute, or 30 seconds to a minute per day, until I've got up to the 15 minutes, and then work from there. You feel me? Since I'm already fairly active, for not compared to how I used to be, but compared at the height of my health before my back went out, but compared to how I used to be, like 5 minutes would have killed me before. But like today, I got almost 5,000 steps. Not quite, but pretty close. So, and I always get at least 2,000 steps, no matter what. I insist on it. But usually I get more than 2,000 steps. But you see what I'm saying. But I'm going to start at 5 minutes. And then I'm going to increase it until it starts being difficult. And then that's the week I'm going to stop at. So instead of 18 weeks, it may only take me 14 weeks, or only 12 weeks, or it might take me 15 weeks. But I don't know until I try. So, but hopefully this has been helpful